You are now live with Dylan Kimlin.
Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This is Dylan Kimlin, and today we are diving into the NPL draft that occurred today. It's fair to say the draft was outstanding. I thought the format in which the NPL team delivered the draft today was really well done. You know, we have seen in the past drafts, not NPL drafts, just drafts in general, they tend to ramble. You get a lot of people on a panel and people just talk about the players. They try and promote just a lot of stuff, and I find sometimes it's just too rambly. Ultimately, drafts, all that the viewer cares about is who is on what team. That's all we care about. So they were quick, sharp, and it was genuinely exciting because it was so quick. Each captain had like a minute to pick players. Strongly recommend our other leagues around the country to go with this sort of format going forward for drafting process, and you can find that on the NPL YouTube channel. All information I'm referencing today can be found via the NPL social media pages, and yeah, we can dive into it. Today's episode, we are going to take a look at all of our players across both Div 2 and Div 1, including the New Zealand Div 2 scene as well, which is super exciting. So before we dive into it, as always, if you haven't yet, please follow us on social media. And t-shirt time today, I am rocking my NPL uniform, one of my many uniforms that I wear when commentating for you all around the country. So let's crack into the first little bit here. So for the league, all right, so they have a new structure, which they do tend to change their structure every year. But this one I've noticed is incredibly short and snappy. We are going to fly through rounds, and historically the NPL have had a bit of a leniency on singles. They tend to draw singles players. They use tennis terminology. You will see tennis words being used here, especially sets. And obviously, as they have a partnership with Tennis Australia, that makes sense. So, however, we will see whether the breakdown follows this leading into this episode. So, best of 5 set series, each set played to 15 points. Very quick. The first two and the mixed doubles are both all rally scoring. So there's no mention there of win. No, it's first two, so there's no win by two. And we don't know if it's using the new rally scoring or the old 2025 rally scoring format. If it's the new one, it's going to be pretty interesting. We also have traditional scoring that is being utilized here with the singles formats. And I kind of like that they're using both rally and traditional for their set breakdowns. I just think this is, covers both formats in a positive light, but also you don't necessarily have to be a single specialist to play in the NPL anymore. And that is because you will see there's only one team from both the males and the females, or one player rather, that has to play singles. So you can be a doubles gun and still do really well in the NPL. So you will, as a player, at minimum, have to play women's, men's, and one mixed team is picked. So there will be players that only play one women's doubles or one men's doubles because they might not be picked for singles and they might not be picked for mixed. That's the reality of our season. You at home can let me know whether you think this is a good thing or not. We will see. No more deal breaker. So deal breaker's gone. I liked the deal breaker personally. However, I can understand, as obviously with this new format, they're trying to make games really quick. It's not a thing anymore. And as such, because we're playing to 5 sets, we don't need a tiebreaker situation because there's no possible way for a tie. Our dates here, you can see on screen. At the time of recording, it is the March 13th, so that is our online draft. We will then go through 7 rounds throughout the year. Round 4 is really interesting. You'll notice that it's not just one day. So it's May 22nd to 24, which there will be a mid-season tournament. And we have a mid-season draft June 1st. More information on the mid-season draft, I imagine, will be announced as we get closer to June 1st. Finals then, August 28th to 30th. Now, if you haven't yet, I strongly recommend getting the chance to go down to finals as a spectator. It's a whole lot of fun, music pumping, bevies flowing. It's just a good experience, and I personally love commentating it on that topic. I will be covering a fair chunk of the NPL this season, not all of the NPL season, as I'm booked out for a lot of these dates. However, super excited to be back in the green and white for this season. Now, we will be doing one full season with a mid-season tournament and a 3-day final series, and all playing for $150,000. The middle of the year, we will have that mid-season redraft, and then at the bottom, you can see the tiers that are being utilized. So we will have 12 pro events, or 12 pro teams rather, playing for that big prize pool. And then Div 2, they've added an additional 8 teams, 6 teams, my apologies, which I think is really exciting. And that is from the New Zealand space, which we can take a look at here. On the topic of Div 2, I think it is phenomenal. We have seen several Div 2 players that have been drafted, and they are now in the Div 1. But on top of that, the academy is really good. There's so many of our young superstars to get the chance to train. I personally think our leagues need to do everything they possibly can to promote our youngsters coming up and getting them ready for the pro circuit. And the NPL Academy has done that in spades. Now, for the New Zealand, shout out to all my Kiwis that tune in and watch the footage. I will be hopefully covering the Div 2. I've requested it. We'll see if it happens. But I've obviously covered a bunch of NZ events, and there's a bunch of names on this list I'm really happy to be able to talk about. I'm not going to attempt to say the team names though, because I know I'm going to butcher it, and I'd rather find out from the NPL teams themselves, or the Kiwis themselves can tell me how to pronounce these words. So I'm just going to say as we go along down the list. Now, if I don't talk about you during this episode, whether it's in this particular bit here or any of the parts, it's probably because I just haven't seen you play before. Simple as that. And I just don't like talking about people if I don't know who they are. Fair, right? So we can dive into the NZ Div 2. Straight off the bat, Ella Varka is probably one of the hardest hitters I've ever seen in pickleball. I would like to see her stand alongside Zach Grabovic or like a Tom Evans, someone like that, and just rip forehands and see who is faster on a speed gun. By the way, NPL, that might be a cool little content piece you can do, just suggesting. Ella, there's a high chance she would win. She is terrifying. Hits the ball incredibly hard. She reminds me of Pei Cow, if for any of our OG watchers. Pei is probably one of my favorite players I've ever called, and Ella has a very similar play style. Absolutely dominant player on the court. Super excited to be able to see her play. I believe I have covered the Tavalayas as well, so super cool to see those two in the same team. And Samisi's a really fun dude. That's going to be a fun team. Following that, for the second side here, Tamaya, I don't know if I have covered Sean before. Name's kind of ringing a bell. I have, however, covered Min Brown. Absolute sweetheart from NZ, really nice person, and solid on the pickleball court. She'll be coming into that second sort of role, unless she's been really working on a game, because she'll be teaming up with Michaela Winyata now. Parry Collins and Winyata, very strong duo. They've obviously had a big influence in NZ as well, helping a lot of our young up-and-coming players, and I love all of our coaches for what they do for our players, but they're also very handy on the pickleball court as well. I wasn't surprised at all to see these two drafted. Following that, we then have the youth squad, as per Lizzie Brady. I talked to Lizzie in the Wellington Pickleball Cup about this team. She's got Jordan Halliday straight off the bat. Jordan's such a good egg, like really fun person to be around, but also very handy on the court. Incredibly athletic, like loves springing around on the court like crazy. They've got, he'll be playing alongside John Southen in the men's. Now, the Southens, in my opinion, have so much potential. I really am looking forward to seeing how John and Tom and their career progresses. Just so much excitement coming from these two young fellas. If they're not on the NPL Academy, NPL, you need to get them on the Academy ASAP. Mia Hardy as well. So Mia's been at quite a few tournaments actually that I've covered over the years, and she'll be playing alongside Captain Brady coming in. She's just one of those players that just needs time to cook, and we'll see how she performs here in Div 2. Following that, we then have the side led by Spencer Sandridge. I had the privilege of covering Spencer and Andy teaming up together in the Wellington Pickleball Cup recently, and these two are a very strong men's duo. I think Andy potentially could be the best men's singles player from New Zealand at this point in time. You know, I'd really like to see him tangle with some of the best men's singles players from Australia. That would be very interesting. But those two as a men's duo, very, very tough. Hikaru played in the Welly Cup, I want to say. I think it was. And she played really well. That's a really strong team. Sophie Hawkes as well, by the way. I've talked about her in the past. She is easily one of the most exciting prospects from our part of the world. Sophie has potential to potentially dominate in pickleball if she continues in her current trajectory. You know, that is a very strong team. I'm very excited to see how they're going to pan out. For the next side, I'm trying to think if I've covered Nakora in the past for Janelle. Not too sure, Janelle. I might have. Sorry, I do thousands of players, so if I have, I do apologise. I have, however, covered Willard Sunnix, who played really well. Dude's like 7 foot tall, covers a bunch of the court, and he'll be playing alongside Tama Skipper, who Tama's really handy on the court. They're going to have incredibly quick hands, a lot of driving prowess as well. Another really strong men's duo. Following that at the bottom, I believe I've only covered Joe Blackadder and Harrison Young in those lists. Once again, I could be wrong. A lot of people are talking up Harrison Young. So very curious to see how his career is going to progress, but also now with the opportunity from Div 2, how that's all going to pan out. So just want to give a bit of love to the Kiwis before we dive into our main portion of the episode. Okay, let's talk about the Victorian sides. So we will cover Pro Division and Div 2 as we go through each side. Now, the Adders, Maddie Kay leading this side, very strong team for Victoria. Maddie Kuznetsov, probably one of the best men's singles players we have in the country. Incredibly athletic, somehow does splits like every game. My hamstrings hurt just watching him play, but he's very exciting, incredible driving prowess and just sheer athleticism. He's obviously drafted brother Timothy coming in. I got a lot of time for Tim. I think he's a cool dude. And he's just one of those players that just needs time to grow on the court to become dominant. You know, will it be this season? We'll see. They pick up Kat Westbury. Kat obviously playing formerly with the Roos, as well as she won with the Bondi for the MLPA format recently alongside Rose Van Reek. And geez, the prospect of a Kuznetsov-Westbury mixed duo and then potentially, you know, as backup, Timmy K and Amy, if that, for whatever reason, they can't play their main duo. Man, they got a strong team. Amy Munro, by the way, Victorian Championships that I just covered last weekend, played out of her skin. If that is her current form, Amy may be one of the steals of the draft. She was lights out, like straight dismantling teams. So we'll see. The Adders low key. I think they have I think their women's duo are really going to surprise some people. You know, if you have Kat on the right and Amy just swinging wild, we'll see. I think they're a bit of a dark horse to get us started with, which is great. Div 2, can we talk about their Div 2 team? That's like one of the strongest Div 2 teams I've seen. Like, what happened here? You know, Gabby May, obviously superstar, has been in Div 1 many times. Playing alongside Chris Mahasi, who in the Victorian Championships was straight melting balls. He was hitting them so hard. Oh, my goodness. Liv Moya is one of those players who I was a bit surprised she didn't get drafted, if I'm going to be honest with you. Yeah, I think there's two ways she'll take this. She'll either get cranky that she didn't get drafted and use it as motivation to get drafted next season, or she'll go back to tennis. You know, I hope she stays in pickle because Liv is a wonderful human being, first of all, but also incredibly competent on the court. Now, for Molino, I don't know if I've covered him. Yeah, I don't think I have. So no comment there. Ruse. Sahil Dang. I've talked about the Dangs in the past. Sahil and Ayesha, both two of the most exciting prospects we have in Australian pickleball. Captaining the Ruse. Good to see Kat Valos back with the Ruse. The former captain of the Ruse was Sahil's first pick. Now, I kind of like Kat not in a captaincy position. She's a gun player, and I thought she did really well. But this gives her a chance to just let Sahil worry about all the stuff, and she can just go and swing a paddle. She'll be teaming up with Nat Fisher, who Nat played incredibly well at Vic Champs. I think Nat is low-key, very handy second female pick, which obviously Captain Sahil has done here. Ethan Chung at pick 32. Did I miss something? Like, people are talking about like Ethan's the next great thing from Victoria. I think Ethan and Sahil together is terrifying. I did have a chance to watch him a little bit play at the Vic Champs, and he's one of those players that, 6 months from now, we might be talking about like, yeah, he's had his breakout and he is dominating. Playing alongside Dang, the Roos are a really strong side from Vic. I think it's going to come down to their women's singles. Who's going to play singles out of the two ladies? I mean, both Sahil and Ethan. I'm pretty sure Ethan can play singles. They're fine there. Roos, I think, are going to do some damage. For their Div 2 side, another really strong team. Claire Butler played really well at Vic Champs. Really tall, strong hitter of the ball. Another player who I was a little bit surprised didn't get picked up, but she's playing under Captain Pierre Anharolas, who we have had on the NPL in the past. He did play at Kuyon Classic alongside Vuk Filicevic, and Pierre just did his role. He played really well in that tournament. Strong team. Then he'll be teaming up with Tam Laveau, who also played really solid at the Vic Champs. I'm not surprised at all to see Tam get picked up. He's just a solid player. Simple as that. I don't know if I've covered Letha in the past, however. So we'll move on to the next side, which is the tied Ayesha Dang's squad, if you will. Ethan Butson, Memory Lelanoa, Josh Fisher. So Ayesha and Memory together as the women's duo, very strong women's team, very aggressive women's side. I'm just thinking about how, if they tangle with some of the other big teams, I think they'll do all right. It really depends on which Memory we get. So Memory has obviously played in the NPL in the past. She was under the 29ers with Tom Evans back in the day. And I don't even know if she's 18 yet. Like, she's a genuine young gun coming through. So, and somehow keeps getting taller every time I see her. I think that's a very strong women's duo. Memory's very similar to what I said about Ethan Chung. She could have that breakout and just start dominating. Ones to watch. And I think Ayesha will play the singles. So Memory can just come in as a pitch hitter for the doubles side of things, which is really cool. Ethan Butson, obviously former captain for the NPL. Great to see him in, and very similar to Kat Valos. I think it's great that he's not in the captaincy role. He can just chill and just whack the ball, which he does very well. Between him and Josh Fisher, there's going to be an incredibly aggressive men's duo, but also singles covered. Take your pick. I don't know how they're going to go through with that, but the Tide, as an overall fit, I actually think is pretty solid. Div 2, I don't know if I've covered Brandon Lay in the past. I have, however, covered Kelly Martin. How did Kelly not get drafted? Just question. She's a gun. Like, really, really good. Yeah, very surprised there. She's teaming up with Chow Vo, who Chow got silver, I want to say, in the open women's singles for the Victorian champs last weekend. I was very impressed. Both those ladies can rock the singles court. Women's doubles, we'll see how they go. Lewis Duckworth, I've covered in the past as well. Really good to see him out on the courts. Just one of those players that needs time, and potentially we will see in the future in Div 1. 29ers. It's really good to have Izzy Papajan back. Obviously, we had her feature. Who did she play for? Was it the Yadders? Was it under Dan Kay or Matt Kay? Either way, There might be a connection there between Izzy and Dan. I could be wrong there, but memory, something up here is saying that did happen. Izzy Papajan, obviously legend from, she's come back from overseas, which is why I said it's good to have her back. I haven't seen Izzy play since she left. So the form she was in was fantastic. I know she did have some injury concerns. Hopefully we want to see her healthy. And if she's better than what she was when she left, look out NPL. She's going to do damage for sure. Teaming up with Barrich, by the way, another really good pick. So this was Izzy's first pick at 11. That's a rough spot to be in the draft, taking the 11th pick. However, I think Papajan did quite well getting Barrich in. Obviously, singles, they are covered. So Barrich was the giant killer easily last season, took some massive names. So there is a world in which Papajan doesn't play singles and just lets Barrich go and run wild. We'll see. 29ers, they have potential there. And maybe Papajan comes in as the mixed female. They've got flexibility. Nigel Lee, big Nige. Great to see Nige there. Obviously played in the Boroughs last season, championship side. Wasn't surprised at all to see him picked. Is in Victoria. He is very similar to Barrich. Good luck beating this team in singles. They have potentially just got 2 wins in the singles category every single time. Because Barrich, I don't know who in Victoria is going to beat her. Or unless Isabel puts herself in. Who knows? But Nigel Lee is another player who, he's very similar to that giant killing mentality. He has taken out some of the best players in Australian pickleball on the singles court. So they're really strong. Dan Kay, great to see the legend back. I talk about Hall of Famers when it comes to various scenes. Obviously, when you talk about Victoria, pro players like Aaron Blitz immediately comes to mind. But Dan Kay, he's done a lot for Victorian pickleball. He's done a lot for a lot of players. I'm not at all surprised to see him picked. Phenomenal bloke, and also a lot of coaching prowess. He obviously is one of the head coaches for the JAR. And is it Dan that's involved in another venue, or is that Matt, or is it Tim? I can't keep up with you boys, honestly. Good luck to all of you this season, though. Okay, Div 2. Captain Ryan Lee there. And other Ryan is the Ryan I want to talk about. So I had the pleasure of calling Ryan Husseini in Vic Champs. This kid has a lot of potential. I was very impressed with how he went about it. And he's teaming up with a young superstar in Samantha Chan. So I had pretty sure it's Samantha. Or was it Samantha? If it's the wrong person I'm thinking of, I apologize. But I did cover 2 Chans. No, I don't think it was Sam. No, it wasn't. Sorry. I did cover a brother-sister duo in the juniors, but they were very young. So it was, yeah. Anyway, I haven't covered Nicole Mullen, I don't believe. No. Good luck for your Div 2 set. Okay. This is the Sharks. For some reason, Steph's side is just super zoomed in. Steph Georgic coming in to captain Div 2 Sharks. I got a lot of time for Steph. He's loud, rowdy, gets around it. And he has someone who is also incredibly rowdy on the court in young Aria Henare, who she's from New Zealand, but lived in Melbourne for a long time. Aria has the potential she's very similar to Ethan Chung, where 6 months from now we could be talking about her she's straight murdering teams. Not afraid to body bag people, as we've seen in the Vic Champs. She does not care what you think about her. If anything, she reminds me a lot of Danny Townsend. Just comes out, flogs the ball around, like amazing technical ability from Henare, and a huge family getting behind her as well. For Lucas Viridin and Jennifer Fanatri, I don't think I've covered you guys in the past. If I have, I do apologize. Very curious to see how the Sharks go, and especially young Steph and Aria. I know I've covered both of you guys quite a lot now, and all I want to do is see you guys continue getting better. Okay, the Rangers for Div 2. So their Pro Division side isn't in, but the Div 2 is. So I'm not at all surprised to see young Mr. Liam Lamb there as captain. He's got Emily Martin on his side. Both Martin ladies are incredible. Chansai, I think that's how I pronounce your name, mate, played really well at Vic Champs. Obviously, from my understanding, he was, I don't know the exact ranking, but he was a pro tennis player, very high level. So, I mean, Liam's not a slouch at all in the singles court, but if you got a pro tennis playing for you, you just give them singles. Yeah, and Emily Martin coming in as well, another terrific player. For Ashley, I don't know if I've covered you, mate, but I think that's an incredibly strong Div 2 team. Emily Martin will come in as the number one female picker. Wasn't at all surprised by that. And will she play singles? Well, I haven't really seen Ashley play, so I can't really comment too much. At minimum, though, I know Emily can play singles. So we'll see how that Div 2 squad goes. Liam Lamb bringing the vibes as always. That's Victoria. So I'm trying to keep this quick and short for you all as we go through all of the sides. Yeah, let's talk about Queensland. Okay. Oh, Queensland. We had some huge calls this draft. Big names have come across. And now, my question, and no doubt the question of, the people that watch both MLPA and NPL, can these players play both? That is what we will see. Personally, as I've always made it clear, I think it's nonsense that we have exclusivity. Let the players play everything is my take. But we do have quite a few MLPA players playing in NPL this season. Crystal Mildwaters getting captaincy for the Opals. Obviously, Danny Townsend and Sarah Dennehy have been offered roles with the PPA America. A massive congratulations to them both, and I hope their careers continue to blossom. But Crystal came in to take over the Opals after Townsend left. Now, Mildwaters is without a doubt one of the best players we've seen, and she's a young prodigy, if you will. She is teaming up with possibly the most exciting junior prospect in world pickleball. Literally ranked number one for juniors is Nicholas Guman. I'll be honest, when Danny and Sarah got offered roles with the PPA America, I thought Nicola was going to get one as well. It's only time. It's only a matter of time. Nicola's an absolute weapon. Now, this Opals team is the Boroughs from last year. The Boroughs with Sarah and Summer obviously won everything. But, pardon me, these two ladies, how do you contest with that? Like, real talk. That is such a strong squad. And Crystal getting number one pick, taking Nicola, no-brainer. Hamish Bartos coming in, who was he's probably the number one South Australian male, I think. That's probably a fair take. Him and Talia can argue who's the number one South Australian in general. But I've got a lot of time for Hamish. Young gun. Currently doing a tennis camp, or going to do a tennis camp in Germany or something, if memory serves me right. Be curious how that turns out. But obviously wishing him the best of luck. And obviously Mr. Tomahawk himself, Aaron Johnson, coming in. The old Brisbane Breakers challenger side duo in Mildwaters and Johnson. And from memory, didn't Mildwaters and Johnson play together in a different squad? Was it an NPL team? Maybe. Was it the Outback? Anyway, memories. I know they definitely played Breakers together. So those two together, I wasn't at all surprised to see AJ get picked. 36, though, probably a bit rough. Aaron probably thought he was a bit higher on the draft list than that. But what a squad for the Opals. They are women's doubles, that's pretty much a win every time. Women's singles, that is pretty much a win every time. Take your pick between Mildwaters and Skuman. Men's singles, they're also very solid. The men's doubles portion, we will see how they pan out From memory, Aaron and Hamish were together in South Australia recently, actually. So those two have probably been training together as well. Div 2. Very solid team. So you got Ryan Simmons and Deb Rossi together. Did Ryan play with the Parrots? I want to say he did. Or was it Peacocks? Might be Peacocks. We're going OG NPL here, viewers. So Ryan is captain, locking up Mitch Rogers, who I haven't really seen Mitch play, to be honest, but a lot of people in Queensland are talking up this young gun. Talking about young guns, Ari, Heather Pereira. I've talked about the Heather Pereiras a ton. Like those ladies are not far off starting to really build for this. And if anything, this year, I would love to see how they progress. And obviously, Deb Rossi coming in, legend, future Hall of Famer of Australian pickleball, and has done just about everything. Very strong Div 2 squad there for the Opals, and a Div 1 that potentially could go all the way. We did see the Burrows format work with a different scoring format, though. It's going to come down to the boys. That's what it's going to come down to for the Opals. Talking about the fellas, let's get stuck into the Outback. Harry Brown, Daniel Fogel, Coolidge coming together again. It's like going full circle. These two fellas have played a ton of pickleball together, many tournaments over many years. Very strong team. Obviously, Harrison Brown, one of the best singles players in the country. So Dan doesn't even have to play singles. He can just play men's doubles. I don't even know if he's going to play mixed. Dan's literally there to play men's doubles. And he'll do it well. He's played with Harrison a lot. So, honestly, good pick from Harry Brown. Let's talk about Katie Hart. You know, I mentioned, are we seeing a blending between NPL and MLPA? She was the captain of the Eastern Rush. God knows what's happening with the MLPA. I'm going to be honest with you. I have no idea. I don't really keep up with it anymore. But Katie, one of the strongest players in Australia. Left-handed weapon. Everyone knows or has seen, if you follow Australian Pro Pickleball, you've seen Katie play. Singles, she will take. What a really strong team here. So Katie will take the singles because Kirsty's probably will admit she's not a singles specialist, but Harrison Brown taking the singles, strong chance that's a win. Katie Hart taking the singles, strong chance that's a win. Mixed doubles, those two together, how will they go as a unit? Probably really well. Outback, honestly, really solid. Now, it's going to come down to, so with the women's, obviously, K-Mac coming in, the superstar Kiwi, she's going to play left side. Katie, obviously, being a lefty, will play on the right. It's going to be how those two blend as a women's duo that I think that may be the one chink in the armor for the Outback. But Kirsty's been drilling nonstop, so I'm not at all surprised that she got picked. And at pick 21, that's a reasonably high mid-tier pick as well. So, yeah, the Outback, pretty solid, honestly. Can they go back-to-back? Harrison Brown is definitely the captain that can do it. We'll see how his squad goes. For the Div 2, Tan Quinn. Great to see Tan still rocking the pro scene. Him and Luther Ferris, who Luther, I've said in the past, is one of my players to watch for this year. This young kid is so exciting. Absolutely just trains the house down, has an army behind him of support. That Div 2 for the Div 2 Outback team is going to get a lot of love this year. I'll tell you what. Leona Quinn coming in to team up with Tan. Couple goals, if you will. Those two have just had, they've got several little ones now, and now they are playing pro pickleball together. You just love to see it. I got so much time for Tan and Leona. They're both beautiful people. Great to see Maddie Hetherington. So shout out to the Joachim Holland Park crew. Maddie plays, I've seen her play a bunch of tournaments and play. I actually suggested to her middle last year that she get involved in the NPL. And here she is. I'm really happy for her. She's low key, Maddie. So that's a very solid Div 2 team. They've got singles covered. They've got mixed covered. Their men's and women's duos are good. Div 2, honestly, this season, Div 2 is really good. Previous seasons, Div 2 has also been solid, but this is like, I would go and watch these games, like in person, 100%. So, yeah, strong for the Outback as well. We're 2 for 2 here for strong teams. Brumbies, Andy Horridge. So talking about MLPA to NPL, former captain of the Western Vipers, or I don't know, he might still be captain of the Western Vipers. Don't know what's happening with MLP. But, he is teaming up with Josh Nipris. Got a lot of time for Nipris. These two fellas, who takes singles there? I don't know. I mean, Andy probably pips Josh when it comes to singles prowess, but Josh is one hell of a backup when it comes to singles. Men's duo, men's doubles, how are they going to go? Their firepower is outrageous. Composure's probably the only thing there. Both fellas have lost their cool in the past at tournaments and matches, but I have a lot of time for this men's duo. Really want them to do well. And, they're probably a confidence duo as well. If they do take down a couple of the other big men's duo teams, they're a dark horse, Smokey, as well, 100%. The Brumbies men's duo. Now, Alicia Horridge coming in, not at all surprised to see the Horridges together, the WOA duo. Alicia, I've seen her coach firsthand in Perth. Phenomenal. If I ran a facility, I'd hire her on a spot. She's such a good coach and running sessions, etc. Also very good on the court. How her and Kessel go together, another MLPA. She was obviously in the Masters, captain of the Breakers. I like Simone coming in here. And I always butcher your first name. I know it's not Simone. Do apologise. But Kessel coming in as sort of that, I guess, veteran leadership for this unit. Not a bad pick. How they're going to go in the women's doubles side of things, when we've already talked about the likes of Mild Waters and Skuman or Hart and McCorkindale, how are they going to go against those sort of squads? That, I think, is where this team we will see, because I don't know if Alicia and Simon have played together much. But that's the beauty of leaks, right? We see how it all pans out. Div 2, Penny Moran. Captain here. Penny is a gun. She's picked in her first pick a gun in Kate Rorison. Now, Penny and Kate together, very strong women's duo. You can't at all try and just assume that's a win if you go up against those two. That's like an experienced, strong team. Joey Crowther, got a lot of time for my boy Joseph. Good to see him getting picked up there in Div 2 as well. And finally, Jason Smith. Who takes singles for those two? And the ladies. They got flexibility with singles. Mixed doubles is going to be an interesting one. I think they'll chop and change and see what works there as well. But once again, that's an all-round solid Div 2 team for the Brumbies and their Div 1 unit. We will see, I think, it's the women's duo. Very curious to see how that's going to pan out. The Reef, a feel-good story with James Wilson coming across as captain. I've got so much time for James. Kiwi, legend, drafted a Kiwi in Connor Robertshaw. It's just a good story. So this is like the NPL's version of bloody Southern Stars or NZ Hustler at this point. So James Wilson, probably one of the biggest units in the Australian pickleball scene, as always posting videos of doing weights, has gone and drafted an absolute ripped unit in Connor Robertshaw, who has just moved to Australia. Connor and James together is a very exciting men's doubles team. Who's going to take which side? Who's going to be the more dominant player? That is the question to ask. I think singles as well. Ooh. Who takes singles with those guys? Questions. And mixed. Who takes mixed? Once again, flexibility, but makes life difficult for these sides. For the ladies, Taya Cross. How did Taya go in at number 10, by the way? Like, what? Taya coming in at number 10. blows me away. She had one of the best 2025s we saw. Very high level across multiple facets. To go in with James, I mean, I imagine, would be their mixed pick. Zoe's solid. I actually like Zoe at the number 27 pick for the third for the Reef. She's been traveling nonstop overseas, getting a lot of practice in. So their women's duo is interesting. Like, if Taya just goes, they're almost similar to the Hart-McCorkindale combo in that if Taya just plays massive on the left and Zoe just does her role really well on the right, it could work. It could work. Taya's proven that she can take over games on that left side. Yeah, that could work. And the men's duo, very strong. Singles, I don't know who's going to go with the men's. I imagine Cross will take the singles for the ladies. But then again, I haven't seen Zoe play singles in a little while, so who knows? Either way, Reef historically over the seasons have been dare I say, a troubled side. They haven't really had much momentum. I think that's changed with season for 2026. Div 2, Sam Gibbs is captain. Jeez, Gibbs is low-key. He could have almost been picked for Div 1. He is incredibly unorthodox. He does crazy things on the court, but he will take over a game easily. Picking Ben Johns, that is not the American Ben Johns. That is the beloved figure from the Moreton Bay, Brisbane region. Ben, terrific player. Great to see him out on the courts. I really like the women's duo for the Reef. Jess Christie obviously played for I think it was the Dinos, was it? Back in the day. Has been training the house down non-stop with a bunch of pros. Is teaming up with Sophie Mason. Now, I've got a lot of time for Sophie, obviously, with my time at Focus Pickleball Redcliffe. Sophie she's, I talked about the likes of Sophie Hawkes or Aria Hanare. Sophie Mason's in that category. These young women coming up that will eventually take over the game. This is the future of Australian pickleball right here. I think Sophie and Jess as a duos, it's very solid. And I'd be worried going up against the Reef women's team. The men's, Sam and Ben have played a bunch together as well. So, honestly, it's a great Div 2 team. Sam drafted really well. Or whoever. I don't know if they draft or if NPL puts them together. Either way, it's a good team. Reef across the board is a good squad. This is the Boroughs. For some reason, zoomed in. The Boroughs last year won. Their pro team is no more. So Summer and Sarah have legged it. Don't know what Summer's doing this year. Hopefully we see her on tournaments, but she wasn't picked. So, but we can talk about Div 2. So, Grace Sorbello, the big lefty, can rip balls around the court. Great captain. She's aggressive on the court, doesn't mind getting a bit leery on the court, and she'll let you know if you've messed up. But overall, a great player and also a good person. I've got a lot of time for Grace. I don't know if I've called their first pick before. The name doesn't ring a bell. And that looks like a name that I'd remember. So, good luck. I have called Mr. Jonathan Kubler, however. Another Focus Pickleball Redcliffe legend. John is possibly one of the nicest people in Australian pickleball, and he is a weapon on the court. I'm really happy to see John playing pro pickleball. I pushed him to do it for ages. Number 2 pick coming in. He will straight murder teams. For Katie Weebler, the name does definitely ring a bell as well. Trying to remember exactly when I've called her in the past. Sorry, Katie. Memory's fuzzy. Good luck for the Boroughs for Div 2. This is the setters for Div 2 in Queensland. So Sonia Bailey, I have so much time for Sonia. Introduced her to pickleball years ago. She had such a awesome 2025 from a pickleball perspective. Just straight dominated in all the categories she played in. Not surprised at all she was made captain. She's gone and got Indy Heather Prayer. I talked about Ari earlier. So Indy and Sonia as a duo, solid. That's a really good women's duo. It's going to be interesting to see how they start to play together. Fidikefu, I have covered in the past as well. Young player coming in. Another exciting prospect. And I imagine, this is going to sound crazy, but Fidikefu will probably take the singles if Hala has played much singles. Can't recall if I've covered him in singles because when did Sumi sign up for NPL? I don't even know that he did that. I talk to Sumi all the time. Sumi Rajbal, obviously former like iguana and caterpillar and everything else for NPL, stopped refereeing due to pro players complaining. One of the best refs we've seen in the country. Great to see him out on the court. It's really good for pickleball to see him out on the court. And he'll take that sort of mentoring role. He's actually one of the best coaches in the country. Does so much with the Brisbane Pickleball Club as well. So he'll come in as that sort of mentoring role for all of these players. Hopefully, Sumi, I get to commentate your game so I can light you up on the commentary court. Okay, that is Queensland, I believe. Yep, we've got all of the Queensland. Let's talk about New South Wales. Heat. The Heat last year were straight dominant. In my opinion, the Heat and Stingers have always been the two teams since we had the new team names come in. Heat and Stingers have always been the one to watch. I think the Heat this year around are going to be scary once again. Selena Toroya, in that top 5 conversation for best women in Australia. There's no doubt about it. Who plays singles? Selena is an absolute weapon on the singles court. Shannon Spencer, also an absolute weapon on the singles court. Their women's doubles duo is terrifying. I saw Shannon play at the Vic Champs. She is elite. And honestly, probably underrated. People need to start watching Shannon Spencer. I think she has so much potential. This is one of those years. This is, once again, she's in that breakout category. Will we start to see Shannon take over in 2026? Ashton Chan, great to see him on the list, number 19 pick. Ashton is another young player that a lot of people have talked about. I think Kyle Stoker's his coach. I remember talking to Kyle about him. Oh, what tournament was it? It was late last year. I caught up with Stoker at a tournament and we were talking about young Ashton Chan. Lot of potential here. Does Ashton play singles? I'm not too sure. Josh Shear does. So Josh obviously playing, coming across from Victoria. Great to see him back in the mix of things, honestly. I saw him at the Vic Champs. He's really getting into more the influencer social media side of things. Go follow him if you haven't yet. His content's really solid. And very handy on the pickleball court. Him coming in at 31, honestly, rounds out their squad. Josh will just have a role to play, whether he plays singles or mixed, I'm not too sure. Ashton might take both. We'll see. But, yeah, I like the Heat. I think they have an all-round good team. They've got a lot of firepower with the Heat this year around. Last year they did as well, but they're continuing that trend. For Div 2, have I covered? I've obviously covered Tech T, but I'm wondering if I've covered everyone else. I'm not sure. We'll move on. Good luck to the Heat in Div 2. Stingers. Talking about Mr. Stoker. I really like the Stingers this year. So he's gone and drafted a former MLPA player in Ryan Henry. Stoker will take the singles. Ryan, obviously a gun singles player as well, but Kyle Stoker, who has had some injury concerns. Hopefully Kyle's doing okay. But Kyle Stoker, obviously probably one of the most unorthodox players we've seen in Australian pickleball. Just does crazy things on the court. Walking highlight, or walking viral moment, rather. Teaming up with Ryan Henry. Also a incredible singles player. Their men's doubles duo is very strong. You know what to expect with these two. Does Kyle play the right? Probably not. Ooh. Do we see Ryan on the right? I don't know. That's going to be curious to see how that pans out. Louise Oxnard. Great to see Louise getting picked up at number 22. I've got a lot of time for Louise. She's solid all-round player, can do a little bit of everything. and absolute sweetheart. You're not going to get any. How do I word it? This squad's not going to have any morale issues. They're all lovely, you know. So because that is something we have seen historically in the past. Teams have collapsed. They're all guns on the court, but off court they don't like each other. This will not be an issue with this team because they've also got Gianni coming in at the 34th pick, which I was surprised about. I thought Gianni, low key, she's pretty solid. Louise and Gianni, how will they go? So let's have a look at some of the other teams that I've just called. So how would they go against Taruya and Spencer? Probably. I don't know if that would be a win in their category. Singles, how would they go against like Taruya? I reckon they could pinch some wins in the women's doubles and singles categories. Just not against the top teams, if that makes sense. So the Stingers this year, are they going to be a middle of the pack team? Depends. Because if Kyle and Ryan win their men's side of things, actually, how are they going to go in mixed? Who plays in the mixed from the ladies' perspective? I think mixed is going to determine this side. Yeah. Time will tell. Div 2. Ryan Morris. Great to see Ryan in the mix of it once again. He's been playing for a long time now, been rapping in the NPL for a long time. Pointer, the name doesn't ring a bell. Sorry, Kyron, but I have covered Mary Massey and Jess Williams. That's a really strong Div 2 women's team. Jess played phenomenally well in the Vic Champs recently. I thought her hands were just exceptional. Mary Massey, obviously, very solid striker of the ball as well. I think that Div 2 team is going to cause some headaches. Comes down to Pointer, who I haven't seen play before, so hopefully does well. Dinkers. Okay, this is just the Sydney Grand Slam lineup. I covered all these players of the Sydney Grand Slam. They were all playing either with or against each other. Brian Tran, he is the new... Who's a comparison? So Rob Sterling last year or the year before just sort of flew out of the blocks and started dominating. Brian's in that conversation. I genuinely think he could... The end of the year, there's a chance he's in top 5 consideration for men's pickleball. And that is a crazy list. But Brian's performance last year was... His rise to where he is now was insane. And seeing him play, him and Daiki, oh my goodness. Good luck containing that. To all the men's duo that have to go up against that combination, wear a mouthguard. The ball's going to be coming fast. Daiki Tanabe, what a absolute success story. Played Div 2 and has worked his tail off from a training perspective, playing lots of events. Has now found himself playing alongside Brian Tran, who I saw ironically, these fellas went head to head in the mixed gold medal for the Sydney Grand Slam that I called like 2-3 weeks ago. Daiki was dominant in that match. Who plays the left with these two is the question. Who plays the more support role is the question. Singles, they're fine. One of them can play it. Not an issue. It's going to come down to who the fellas are going to have to figure it out but when they do, that's pretty much a win every time. Tyra Calderwood, obviously the legend of the Australian pickleball scene and legend of the NPL, coming in 16th pick. I think very solid pick from Brian, honestly. At that point in the draft, you need a solid singles player and someone that could potentially play mixed. Tyra does that. She's done it all. Former captain. That's just an easy pick. There's no drama there. Also another good egg. Like, no, you're not going to get any hassles at all from Tyra. Tatiana Bozovic. You know, I saw her play at the Sydney Grand Slam. I was impressed. I think she played with Tyra Calderwood, if memory serves you right, for women's. But had Bozovic in the commentary booth as well, which was really cool. Very knowledgeable of the game. I think Tatiana and Calderwood are another low-key team. Those two are going to potentially, some teams might tick them as a win against them. I would be cautious to do so. Personally, I think these two could really ruffle some feathers. And singles, once again, You know, there's flexibility here for these squads. Good, great draft from Brian Tran. Div 2. So I have covered both of the gentlemen. The ladies don't ring a bell. I'm sure I will cover you all as time goes on. Ivan Stride, obviously legend. He's done it all. Yeah, you know what you're going to get from Ivan. Singles, play well. Men's and mixed will play well. Flynn Burridge, I have so much time for Flynn. You know, he's one of those up-and-coming young superstars, getting on the influencer route as well, which I love. His content's great. And very handy on the court, you know. I think that, because the ladies, I haven't really covered you ladies before, but I have covered the men. And that gentleman's Div 2 squad is going to cause some headaches. No doubt about it. Comments. Okay. Michaela Hyatt, captain, taking Matt Barden straight off the bat. So, there's your men's and your women's singles done. There is your mixed doubles done. What a strong squad. Hyatt, I've covered for such a long time now. I've got a lot of... She's a great player. You know, top 5 in that conversation. You know, she's done it for a long time at a very high clip for that time. Matt Barton coming in, who obviously high-level tennis background, he's rattled cages with the best of them. Literally, I think he played Wimbledon, if memory serves me right. He's an absolute weapon on the singles format. Men's doubles, mixed, he's going to be great as well. It's a great pick. Nancy Ferguson. When I listened to the draft, I had already had in my head that Mickey would pick Nancy with her first female pick. So no-brainer. So she had the 12-13, which is Serpentine draft, so she would have picked Matt first into Nancy. What a great 2 picks. 1-2 punch, done. Ferguson and Hyatt together, it's a good women's duo. You know what you're going to get from it. And whether Nancy comes in, I don't think she'll come in with mixed. But if Hyatt does, then, you know, Nancy will do her job and she'll do it well. Jacquet, I don't think I've covered before. It's once again a name that I think I'd remember. From memory, he's a coach. Down in New South Wales, he's a coach? I think he is. I look forward to covering you, mate. Good luck in the season. Div 2, Robbie Manzano, the legend from ACT, captaining a side who I'm assuming this is a full ACT side if I look at some of the names on this list. I've covered Jake Winan. I haven't covered Jared Winan, however. Monique Burton. That name rings a bell. Have I covered Monique? No comment. If I can't immediately pluck something, I won't. Alexis Cooper, I have covered many times. Another sweetheart of the Australian pickleball scene and continues to get better. Every time I see Alexis play, she's just slowly making her way up. Div 2 unit for the Comets is low key. Aggies. This is Ash Williams' favourite team. Unfortunately, the Bro division is not there, but Div 2 is. I have covered Marachi and Maurerman in the past. Havas and Cook, I don't think I have. Strongman's duo, they will have no issues on the singles side of things. We'll come down to the ladies. I look forward to seeing how your season progresses. Aggies. Bandies. Adam Walters is still captaining the Bandies, but in Div 2. Obviously, I have a lot of time for Adam Walters. He is one of the funniest people in Australian pickleball. And, you know, he's teaming up with his mate, Nick. So those two going together, that's just, oh my goodness. Banter at a premium for that duo. I imagine Walters will take the men's singles. For the ladies coming in now, Rebecca Wu. Beck Wu, I covered at Sydney Grand Slam. I was thoroughly impressed for you. So she's, I'm assuming, a badminton background, just the way her play style. She has the quickest backhand flick I've ever seen. It is terrifying. So she had Daiki Tanabe launching full body forehand drives at her, and she would almost whip it like, you know when you whip someone with a towel? She would do that with her paddle and rocket it back, and it was effective. So different play style, very exciting play style, and you know the Bandies. I don't think Danielle 2. I don't think I've covered in the past, but the Bandies for Div 2, I think they have so much Div 1 experience there that can definitely cause some headaches. Now, I think, viewers, yep, that's all my squads. We've gone through everyone. Just on an hour as well. Well done, Dylan. I thought I was going to be talking about you all for hours. Who do I think is going to take it? For each state, let's go over New South Wales. I'll just do Div 1. Sorry, Div 2ers. Comets are definitely a chance. Dinkers are definitely a chance. I think Stingers will be middle-ish of the pack. God, the Heat is strong. Because I think if the format right, if I'm looking at this wrong, right, and I could be wrong in that a player might be able to play singles but not mixed, that might be the format. And if that's the case, it really makes things interesting. If it's not the format and a player can play mixed and singles, then, you know, let's say theoretically, and I'm not saying this is going to happen, but let's say theoretically, Josh just comes in as men's singles, as men's doubles, and Shannon just plays men's doubles, women's doubles. We're talking theoreticals here. So Selena can play women's, mixed, and women's singles. Really strong. And then Ashton Chan does both. So realistically, each side only really needs a really strong male and a really strong female player. And then you build around that. I think the Heat will be a top 2 team. Stingers middle. Dinkers are low-key a chance. Maybe third. Comets probably top 2. So, yeah, because there's only 4 in each. I'd probably put jeez. I'm going to leave it at that. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. All right. Queensland. Who's going to be top of the ladder? I mean, geez, it's hard to look past the Opals, honestly, after the Burrows did it last season. Opals have to be top 2. Outback I actually really like. I think Harry Brown drafted really solid here. I talked about you need a strong male, strong female. He's got exactly that. Brumbies, I think middle of the pack, similar to Stingers. Reef low-key. Geez, the middle of the pack's going to be strong. So I think the Outback are definitely a top 2. I think the Opals are probably a top 2. And then Brumbies and Reef scrapping for third. Yeah, we'll go with that and stick with it. Vic. Adders. I mean, Maddie Kay and Kurt Westbury could definitely take those 2 important roles I just talked about. Are they a top 2? Sahil, Kat, Nat, Ethan. Depends on Ethan Chung. If Ethan Chung comes out and starts destroying teams. But then again, he might only play mixed men's doubles. I'm going to go middle of the pack. Time will tell. Could be wrong. Tide. Probably middle of the pack as well. I actually think 29ers will be a top 2. Just because they have the singles locked in. Izzy's drafted differently. She's almost like last season draft strategy, but it works because no one else is really going to go. No one else has really done it. 29ers could low-key, like each individual category, do really well in. And that's how you win points. Yeah, I think 29ers top 2. Tide, middle of the pack. Ruse, middle of the pack. Adders, top 2. I'm going to leave it at that, viewers. Regarding who takes it all, I'm probably going to back the ladies from Queensland. Honestly, just because historical evidence determines that. But then again, only one of them's. You need a strong female, strong male. So we're not following the same format. Okay, Dylan, you're countering yourself here. So who has the strongest male-female combo? I mean, Harry Brown, Katie Hart. Jesus. That's definitely up there. Annie and Alicia. Yeah. I mean, James and Taya. or even Connor in that conversation. Strong 1-2 punch. Brian and Tyra. I mean, or Dikey or Tyra. I don't think Stingers are. Heat could potentially. Depends on Ashton. Because Josh is going to be solid. But Ashton has that potential to like start to take over teams. Comets have a really strong male-female duo. Jeez. Do I back the Outback? Yeah, I'm going to back the Outback. I think once again, the only thing I'm really concerned about with them is the ladies side of things. But like the ladies as a women's duo. But Katie will do really well in women's singles. Mixed duo of Katie and Harrison will probably win most matches. Harrison will win men's singles. Not many players can take on Harrison in a singles match. I can't call who's going to take it. I've just picked where I think every team's going to turn out. Either way, we will see how it all goes, viewers. We're going to close down the stream. Over an hour here of me waffling on about the NPL, but I'm really excited for this draft, and I'm also really excited for the season kicking off soon. Remember, viewers, all the information is available via the New Zealand website, and I look forward to covering us as we will be bouncing into round 1, April 25th, live on the Green Zone on the NPL YouTube channel. This is Dylan Kimlin. As always, if you haven't yet, please like, share, and subscribe. And I look forward to seeing you all on the courts, whether you're in the NPL or not, as I have so many more events coming up here in 2026. Thank you.